Mira Langford stood in an unfamiliar hotel suite, camera in hand, heart racing. Her cousin Lacey, already halfway out with her suitcase, called out, "Shoot, smile, act like you belong here. No one will notice anything." Mira raised an eyebrow, incredulous. "You're crazy." Lacey blew her a kiss. "I'm late for my flight. Put on the badge, hold the camera, and stay low-key. Brides don't care who takes the photos, as long as they're beautiful." Before Mira could protest, the door slammed shut. Alone, she stared at the camera she hadn't used in months, catapulted into a role she hadn't chosen, photographer at a wedding where she wasn't invited. 30 minutes later, she arrived at a luxurious coastal resort, its windows sparkling in the sun, chairs draped in white linen. Dressed in a simple black jumpsuit, blonde hair in a low ponytail, sunglasses to give her an official look, Mira felt out of place. She walked through the marble hallways, head down, hoping to go unnoticed. To her surprise, no one questioned her. Lacey's badge was enough. During the ceremony, she blended into the crowd, reflexively capturing key moments, rings, vows, the bride's father's tears. But an unexpected detail caught her eye. Off to the side, a little girl, barefoot, played with the ribbon of her dress. A man knelt beside her, gently sliding a shoe onto her foot, carefully tying the laces. Mira instinctively pressed the shutter. Click. The man looked up, meeting her gaze. Tall, in his 30s, wearing a navy suit, he stared at her without blinking, his expression calm yet unreadable. Then he effortlessly lifted the little girl and walked away. A nearby whisper revealed his identity: Rowan Blake, the groom's brother, CEO. Mira, camera in hand, continued to photograph the wedding, focusing on the details: a bouquet, a smile, a discreet tear. But the image of the man and the little girl, Rowan and, she presumed, his daughter, kept resurfacing. She forced herself to remain professional, avoiding meeting his gaze again. As she adjusted her lens, a calm, direct male voice called out to her, "Excuse me, are you the main photographer?" Mira turned slowly. Rowan Blake, imposing in his suit, looked at her with a quiet intensity. She hesitated for a fraction of a second, then nodded. Yes. He didn't question her response, merely giving a slight nod in return. At that moment, a small hand tugged at his pants. The little girl, whom she had seen earlier, was staring at her with wide, curious eyes. "Can you take real pictures?" she asked. Mira crouched down to her level, a natural smile on her lips. "Only of really beautiful people." The little girl, confident, declared, "I'm really beautiful." Mira chuckled softly. No doubt about that. The little girl, named Maisie, beamed. Behind her, Rowan let out a soft laugh, almost imperceptible. Mira remained focused on Maisie, feeling Rowan's gaze, protective, observant, but not oppressive. She finally locked eyes with him, and for a moment, they lingered, longer than strangers should. Someone called Rowan from the main tent. "Maisie, come here," he said gently, breaking the moment. Maisie waved her hand. "Goodbye, camera lady," Mira replied. "Goodbye, beauty." As the sun set, casting a golden light over the lawn, Mira raised her camera to capture Rowan walking away, carrying Maisie. Click. 3 days after the wedding, Mira was in her small apartment above a bookstore, a modest refuge where soft light and walls adorned with photos captured lives that were not her own. Her phone vibrated, displaying an unknown number. She hesitated, then opened the message. "Hi, it's Rowan Blake, from my brother's wedding. Do you have any photos of my daughter?" A blurry image, taken by someone else, showed Mira behind her camera. She won't stop talking about the lady with the camera. It would mean a lot. Mira stared at the screen, torn. She should never have accepted this job, let alone feel something seeing Rowan fixing his daughter's hair. Yet, her fingers responded. I have a few. What's the best email address? The reply was immediate. The next day, she sent a selection. Maisie by the fountain, picking petals, holding her father's hand. She thought it would end there, but in the evening, a new message arrived. They're beautiful. Thank you. Would you be open to a photo session, just Maisie and me? Nothing formal. Mira hesitated. I don't usually take private clients. A pause. Maybe just for her. She thinks you're magical. A smile escaped Mira. An hour later, she replied, Okay, 1 hour, 1 location. Rowan suggested a park on the edge of town. The sun filtered through the trees, dappling the grass. Mira adjusted her lens while Maisie twirled on a blanket, a crown of daisies on her head. Rowan, in a hoodie, less formal than at the wedding, watched. No suit, teased Mira, capturing his laughter. I have 3, saved for special occasions like this, he replied. Maisie giggled. Daddy wore it when I spilled paint on his tie. Mira laughed freely. The session was fluid, natural. Rowan didn't pose. He lived the moment, lifting Maisie onto his shoulders, helping her climb a tree, letting petals stick to her face. This naturalness disarmed Mira, who felt an unexpected warmth wash over her, despite the lie that gnawed at her. In the park, under the fading light, Mira adjusted her camera while Maisie sat beside her. Do you take pictures of your family too? The little girl asked. Mira froze, her smile fading. Rowan, a few steps away, looked up. She fixed her gaze on the lens, avoiding their eyes. Not really. Why? Maisie pressed innocently. Mira's fingers tightened around the camera. I don't have many people around. Maisie's next question, soft yet piercing, took her breath away. You don't have a dad? Mira lowered the camera, her voice trembling. Yes, a long time ago. A heavy silence settled in. Rowan approached, his gaze steady, unyielding, just present. Maisie, without a word, slipped a flower into Mira's braid. You can be in our family today. Mira blinked, moved, and met Rowan's gaze. Something had changed, a silent acknowledgement. He didn't speak, but his silence said it all. After the shoot, Rowan offered to carry her equipment. She declined, but he walked with her to her car. You're good with her, he said. She makes it easier, Mira replied. He hesitated. You didn't have to agree. I almost refused, she admitted, watching Maisie twirl on the grass. I don't know why I said yes. Maybe because she smiled at me as if I had a place somewhere. Rowan nodded, and they didn't say goodbye. A few days later, Rowan, gathering his things in his car, found a photo slipped from an abandoned bag belonging to Mira. He expected an accessory, but it was a personal image. Her parents, smiling by a lake, the edges worn, a corner damaged by water. He hesitated, aware of the intimacy of this snapshot. A faintly visible blue heart was drawn on the back. This photo carried a weight, a sadness that Rowan felt without understanding it. That evening, after putting Maisie to bed, he remained thoughtful, holding the image. He knew nothing about Mira, but this picture spoke of a deep loss. He acted on instinct. He scanned the photo, spent an hour restoring its colors, balancing shadows and sharpness, before printing it on art paper and framing it. He slipped a note behind. You deserve to be seen too. 3 days later, Mira returned from a photo shoot and found a package at her door, without a name or sender. Upon opening it, she held her breath. Her photo, restored, her parents alive in vibrant colors. Rowan's note moved her deeply. Sitting on the floor, the frame against her heart, she cried, not the discreet tears she sometimes allowed herself, but deep sobs, releasing years of solitude. She cried for the 15-year-old girl who had lost everything, for the woman hiding behind her lens, believing it was her only way to exist. Rowan had seen her pain, not to fix it, but to acknowledge it. Visits to the Blakes became a habit, never planned, but natural. Mira would stop by with her camera or raspberry muffins. The golden afternoons became rituals. Mira often found herself near the Blake house, sometimes with her camera, sometimes with a coffee. Maisie welcomed her with hugs, and Rowan appeared, his gaze revealing a discreet anticipation. One Thursday, they gathered in a field of wildflowers, their unofficial picnic spot. Maisie ran ahead, her dress floating like wings. Mira captured the moment, Maisie, framed by the light, radiant. Then, suddenly, the little girl stumbled in the tall grass, falling hard. Rowan sprang forward, tense, but Mira was quicker, dropping her bag to crouch beside her. She wiped the dirt off her leg, revealing a simple scrape. "Just a little boo-boo," she said, dabbing a budding tear with a tissue. "You're stronger than you look," she added, tapping Maisie's nose. The little girl smiled, through a hiccup. "It stings." "I know, but you fell near a magic flower. Maybe it will give you flying powers." Rowan joined them, breathless. Mira looked up, teasing. "Where's the dad of this adventurer? She beat you in the race." He didn't respond, but his gaze lingered, touched by Mira's natural tenderness with his daughter. This quiet strength, this absence of fragility in how she treated Maisie disarmed him. The air in Mira's studio smelled of coffee and printer ink, a scent she loved. She adjusted the lighting for a session with a baby when the doorbell chimed. Thinking it was a delivery, she didn't look up until a familiar voice rang out. "There you are, my wedding savior." Her cousin Lacey entered, sunglasses perched on her head, designer bag slung over her shoulder. "I came to pick up my lens. And I owe you a drink for that nightmarish wedding. The groom's brother, a CEO, did you know? I would have ruined everything." Mira froze, her throat dry. Lacey continued, carefree. "You must have made a better impression than I did. Fate, right?" A male voice interrupted. "Mira." Her heart stopped. Rowan stood at the entrance, holding Maisie's hand. He wasn't smiling. Lacey turned around, confused. "Oh, you're from the wedding. Mira didn't tell me you were still in touch." Rowan's gaze remained fixed on Mira. "You weren't the hired photographer." Lacey, horrified, brought a hand to her face. "Wait, you didn't know? Oh my God." The silence was heavy. Mira opened her mouth, but no sound came out. Rowan took a short breath. So, it was a lie. She shook her head, regaining her voice. "No, it wasn't a lie. I thought it didn't matter." He let out a bitter laugh. It mattered. Maisie, confused, looked between them. "Rowan, please," Mira tried, stepping forward. "I wasn't trying to deceive you. I wasn't." "You were just doing your job," he cut in, hurt. "And I was just a client." Mira's eyes misted, but she remained still. "You said you didn't want to be seen," he added, quieter. "But you let me believe you were someone else." 3 days after Rowan's silence, a package arrived at his home. Small, without a return label, Mira's neat handwriting on the front. He stared at it, uncertain, while Maisie asked, "Is it a gift?" "I don't know," he replied, slowly opening it. Inside was a handmade gray linen photo album. A blank card bore Mira's writing. "Thank you for giving me a day where I could exist in something beautiful. It's more than most do for someone like me." Rowan clutched the card, crumpling a corner. "Can I see?" Maisie asked. He handed her the album. She opened it carefully, discovering a photo of them walking at the wedding, Rowan laughing, tie loosened, Maisie twirling. Then another, him brushing his daughter's hair back, vulnerable, human. Page after page, Mira had captured discreet moments, unadorned. Rowan ready to catch Maisie on a bench, their silent complicity. Nothing flashy, just them in their truth. Maisie paused at a photo where she rested her head on her father's shoulder. "I love that one," she said. "We look like a team." Rowan swallowed. "Yeah." The last page showed Rowan lifting Maisie, light enveloping them, the world blurred around. A typed phrase read, "The real things are not loud, but they last." Maisie looked up. "Do you think she's sad?" Rowan didn't answer. A crack was opening inside him. Mira hadn't sought to defend herself or convince him. She had offered this album without expectation, a pure gesture, a truth. He reread her note, throat tight. He had thought she was hiding something, that he had been naive. But she had asked for nothing, only given. Even after her departure, she left a part of herself, not as a plea, but as a gift. Maisie touched his arm. "Dad, I want to see her again. I miss her." Rowan looked down at his daughter, her softness piercing his armor. The morning flooded Mira's small studio with light. Everything was ready for the official opening of Langford Photography. The whitewashed walls were adorned with photos hung by clothespins, and fairy lights twinkled softly. Her favorite camera sat proudly on the counter, next to a dish of mint candies. A sign outside announced, "Grand opening today," in shaky cursive. Mira, in a light blue dress with her hair up, waited nervously.
9 Uhr morgens.
No one. She adjusted the frames, straightened a stool.
10 Uhr morgens.
Still nothing. She opened the door wider, letting in a breeze.
11 Uhr morgens.
A truck passed by without stopping. Mira made tea, her hand steady, but her heart tightened by an old pain. Maybe I wasn't meant to be seen. She sat by the window, the silence heavy like fog. Then the bell rang. Maisie burst in, arms wide, shouting, "Mira!" Before she could get up, the little girl hugged her, beaming. Rowan entered behind, holding a brown paper package tied with a ribbon. "I wasn't sure anyone would come," Mira murmured. Rowan handed her the package. "We almost didn't come, but I couldn't let this day pass by." Mira's studio now vibrated with life. The smell of coffee and ink welcomed clients, and children's laughter echoed against the walls. The photos hanging, babies, lovers, grandparents, told stories of love and joy. Mira, once invisible behind her lens, was now in these moments, capturing and living at the same time. Rowan sometimes passed by between meetings, a coffee in hand, tie loosened, leaning against the doorframe to watch her work. He still ran his business, but came home earlier, cooked, and helped Maisie with her science projects. Maisie, 6 years old, called her my storyteller, because Mira had told her, "I'm not just a photographer, I tell stories with light." One afternoon, under the slanted light of the studio, Mira stopped near the restored photo of her parents, hung next to a new snapshot. Her, Rowan, and Maisie at a fair, hair tousled, sticky smiles from cotton candy. The past and the future coexisted, proof that she could belong to something. That evening, they walked to the hill behind their house, a simple patch of grass and wildflowers. Rowan spread a blanket, and Maisie settled on his lap with a half-eaten apple. "You're always behind the lens," teased Rowan. She smiled. "Not this time. I want to frame it myself." She set the timer and ran to sit between them. Rowan's hand found her shoulder, and Maisie hugged them. The shutter clicked. On the screen, the image was imperfect. No makeup, no studied lighting, but perfect in its truth. Three souls in the golden light of dusk, united. Mira murmured, "For years, I lived behind the camera." Rowan looked at her, a smile in his eyes. "And now?" She squeezed Maisie's hand. "Now I know. This is the photo I was meant to be."